How's it going, everybody? It's Master 1994 here, and today we're going to take a look at my Tearstone Knight build. Now, before we get started, and as always, there is a table of contents in the description below, so if you want to skip any part of the video, go ahead and take a look at that table of contents and you should find exactly what you want to see. As far as our stats go, do note that I am only level 100, just so I can invade more people. And also note that the actual build itself is not the highlight of this video. The main point of this video is that we're using the Tearstone ranks. So what I did was I made a build that required low stats, just in general, and then dumped a bunch of points into vitality so that I could have as high of a health pool as possible to really benefit from the Tearstone ranks. Now, I went with a Knight build, so I basically used the minimal amount of endurance, strength, and dexterity to use the gear and weapons that I wanted to use, and still, of course, have a medium roll. I wanted some decent defense, I wanted decent poise, I wanted decent attack rating on my weapon. However, you could very easily make a sorcerer build or a pyromancy build or even a faith build, I think, with relatively low stat requirements, and then just dump all of the other points into vitality and basically come up with the same type of build, just a general Tearstone build. And of course, we're focusing on vitality because we want as much HP as possible, because the Tearstone rings give us benefits when we are at a certain percentage of our maximum health. So the higher our health is, the more benefits we can get from our Tearstone rings. As for my weapons and gear, with my Knight build I'm using a lightning halberd for decent attack rating with low stat requirements, and then I'm using a decent shield and decent armor for higher defense and poise. But of course, these could all change depending on what type of Tearstone build you want to create. The three important items here, however, are the Mask of the Mother, because this increases our HP by 10%, and of course the two Tearstone rings. Now, with both of these rings on, when you get under 20% health, you'll have 50% more defense and 50% more attack rating. I had a lot of fun playing with this build just because the red Tearstone ring let me one-shot people a lot. With this build, you very often come into situations where you think you're going to lose the fight, and because you get into this Tearstone range, you end up obliterating one or more enemies. So it's a lot of fun. Now, before we look at the PvP clips, let's look at what my stats look like before and after I'm in the Tearstone range. As you can see, my attack rating and defense went up by 50%, and we're about to see what that can really do in these upcoming PvP clips. I really wanted to start out the video with what I thought was a pretty decent comeback. So in this first clip, I invaded these guys. They're casters. They're using the slow effect on me. They're beating me up pretty badly. And because of the red Tearstone ring in this situation, I finish them off with the red Tearstone, with both of the Tearstones, but especially the red Tearstone ring. You can perform some pretty amazing things. It's really fun, and that's what made the build so enjoyable. Is you might get beat up against a certain enemy or group of enemies, but because of these Tearstone effects, you come out on top. That being said, I want to point out that I think it's very possible to make a decent build with these low stat requirements and then just stacking a lot of vitality anyway. I mean, this build felt very viable, and had I not used the red Tearstone rings, let's say I used, a Chloranthy ring and a Hornet ring instead, I mean, the build would have been very strong regardless. So I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything, and it was actually kind of difficult to record some of these clips because it was hard to find fights where I was doing poorly enough to get into red Tearstone range. So I think it's kind of a win-win. You can make a build that's strong anyway, but if you end up getting below 20% health, there's a good chance you're going to obliterate your opponent anyway. Another thing that I really wanted to point out is there are a few clips here where I win fights, and this is one of them actually, where I win the fight only because of the blue Tearstone ring. See, right here I would have died had I not had the blue Tearstone ring. That being said, I think in pretty much all situations I would have benefited more had I used the Ring of Favor and Protection instead of the blue Tearstone ring. So I think it would have been more beneficial to use Ring of Favor and Protection and the red Tearstone ring and just bank on getting high red Tearstone ring damage instead of blue Tearstone defense, because your health is so low already. A lot of things would one-shot me anyways. I didn't feel like I got very many benefits out of the blue ring. So if you want to recreate a Tearstone build and you want to optimize, I mean, obviously I don't regret it because I did get a few clips with surviving just because of the blue Tearstone ring, and it made it more dramatic and it was more fun, and I wanted to showcase a true Tearstone build. But if you want to recreate this and kind of optimize, I would not use the blue Tearstone ring. I'd use, like I said, the Ring of Favor and Protection and use the red Tearstone ring. Of course, if I had used the Ring of Favor and Protection, my health would have been 24, almost 2,500. I would have gained like 400 more HP. So that's a pretty big deal to miss out on. Another thing that I want to stress with this video, and I've kind of already mentioned this in the intro portion of the video, is you don't have to make a knight build. I think that, in fact, I think a sorcerer build, especially having dark beads, or maybe a pyromancy build with the black flame, would have been even more amazing. You would definitely be one-shotting people when you hit that red Tearstone range. A red Tearstone black flame, I don't even know if I would want to see that. I mean, that would be terrifying. And I think it would be relatively easy, especially considering, like I said, I'm only level 100. So you have 20 more points to play with if you want to hit 120 meta. Also, I have a lot of endurance, and you don't need 83 vitality. I mean, you could be okay with 60 or 70 vitality, especially if you go ahead and use the Ring of Favor and Protection instead of the blue Tearstone ring. So you have a lot of points to play with, I think. And I think if you took some points out of endurance, took some points out of vitality, and especially if you hit the level 120 meta, you would have plenty of points to make a spellcaster red Tearstone build. All of that being said, I think this build shines because it doesn't require you to, mimic my build. The point is that we're using, the Tearstone rings, and I've made a build that fits me. I think I play best with one weapon and a shield. This knight type of build where I can parry, I still have the defense. That's where I shine. So I incorporate that in my Tearstone build, and you can do the same thing. If you like a specific playstyle, well, take that playstyle and give it some vitality, pop on the rings. You'll be good to go. All in all, I'm very glad that I made this build. This is a build that I've wanted to create since, pretty much Dark Souls 2. I really saw the Tearstone rings, and I haven't really gotten a good chance to play with them. But, losing a fight and then coming out on top because of these Tearstone rings is enjoyable on a whole new level. And if you haven't gotten to do it, I would suggest you try it out. I mean, of all the builds that I've done, they're always enjoyable, but nothing was, quite this exciting. So I'm going to end this video with what was a huge lag fest that I wouldn't have won without the Tearstone rings, and then me, of course, falling into the abyss. All of that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. as always, it was very fun to make this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do what you want to do. Give me suggestions. They're always appreciated, and I'll see you guys next time.